time. They got an extra couple of weeks added on that most of the students don't. This has been a really great class. Started out with a few bumps in the road. It usually means that by the end of it, it's going to be a good class. I get worried if it all goes off without a hitch right at the beginning. These guys have done an exceptional job. You'll hear later on in the ceremony a lot of the things that they've had to do, underway hours, time on the boats, time spent in the classroom. They spend 11 of the 14 weeks in classroom time, 3 weeks underway, and that entire time it is pretty much getting education through a fire hose. We are throwing stuff at them from 0800 in the morning until 1600 in the afternoon, and then homework at night. You will also notice that everybody is wearing a lanyard, looks like a leash around their neck. I assure you this is not to drag them around with you afterwards. Attached to the other end of this is a bosun's pipe. Bosun's pipe is probably the oldest tool known to the bosun mates. The actual rating of bosun, which was an original warrant rating, started back in 1044 in England. Edward the Confessor, the last Saxon king of England before the Norman invasion, had 5 ships built in the 5 major ports. And through what they called the sailing season, which was the decent weather in England, which was about 5 months of the year, they patrolled the coast to ensure that nobody invaded England. During that time, there were 4 regular officers assigned to it. There was a master, who was the captain, a carpenter, a cook, and then the bosun. Bosun is the only one that has remained unchanged since 1044. In 1243, the earliest known record that we have, the bosun's pipe is seen being used on board ships taking troops to the Crusades. This was then used as a symbol of the Lord High Admiral in England up until about 1662, 1663, at the time of Charles II. The Lord High Admiral had a gold one, and all of his officers wore silver. That showed their position. Well, over the years, that evolved down, and that became the rank of the bosun mate. This little whistle is actually a language all in itself. For many, many years, when navies were recruiting, they recruited from all over the world. Anyone that would sign on to the ship was taken on. Many of them didn't speak a common language. So this was a way to transmit orders throughout the ship so that everybody would know what it was they had to do. There were 27 basic signals that had to be learned by the bosun. Everything from sail stations to heaving anchor to going to general quarters. And so since none of those men all spoke one common language, this was it. This became a language for them. So, as the tradition passed on, this started to kind of fall off in modern times. About 15 years ago, it just sort of dropped off the face of the bosun mate rating. It was in there, but nobody was really doing anything with it. And one of my goals when I became the school chief here a couple years ago was to bring back the tradition of the bosun's pipe. So every class that has gone through since has learned to play the 5 basic pipes that they need, which was attention, piping the side, long chow, secure, and sweepers. Those are still used on board ship on a regular basis. So we made sure that that went into the curriculum and they learned that. Every one of them made the lanyard that's hanging around their neck right now. That is all handwork done by them. There's a lot of hours put into that. I know that mine, what I'm wearing right now, was done while I was on a patrol for 100-some days down in the Caribbean. And I spent a couple hours a night working on this, and I bet you it took me about 3 weeks to build it. They did theirs in less time than that. So, proud tradition brought back, but your loved ones are carrying on for me. As Chief said, there's a lot of history around here. Please feel free, walk around the base. You're also right next door to the oldest national battlefield in the United States. Yorktown National Battlefield is the last great battle of the Revolutionary War. I assure you, they know the entire story of it now. Every week, we run through those battlefields. Every week, they get a nice long history lesson from me. And on the last week that they're here, we go out and we talk about how all of those little history lessons that we had through that 14 weeks all culminates down into the last great battle there. We spend about 2 hours out there. So make them take you out there and show you some stuff while they're at it. All right, so without much further ado, I believe the Chiefs have a few more awards to give out. So thank you very much.